All right, welcome everybody. Friday team calls. I got people tuning in here, but we are past time to get started. Got a lot of ground to cover in a short time to get there. So, welcome to you all. Let's hit some leaderboards real quick here. We had obviously holiday week, and everybody's still catching up. So we had some solid numbers. Probably not our best, but it's okay. We still got time today. Get business turned in and get on with the rest of the month. Let's hit top 10 for the week. We had Mr. John Gilliam, one application, $1,532 direct to John Paul Vetter. Derek McPherson, one application, $1,588 direct to John Paul. And Joe Gooding, one application, $1,729 direct to John Paul. Mr. Vetter himself, new homeowner. Brand new homeowner, got it closed yesterday finally after many attempts, but hey, that's part of it. He had, even with all that, still managed to get an application in for the week with $2,197 APV. Ms. Terry Myers, 4 applications, tied for app count lead for the week. 4 applications, $2,372. Stella Dinwiddie, 2 applications, $3,023. Oh, by the way, Terry is direct to Stella, and Stella is direct to myself. Mr. Lionel Anderson, 2 applications, $3,277, direct to John Paul. Dave Moan, congratulations, Mr. Moan, number 3 on the week, 2 applications, $4,583, direct to Stella Dinwiddie. Miss Jenny Gray in the number 2 slot, 4 applications, so she is the other app count leader for the week. 2 applications tied for app count lead, $4,608, direct to John Paul Vetter. And look at her number 1, Miss Stacy Love, 2 applications, $4,984, direct to Donna Bates. Stacy is a new writer with us, relatively new, here just the last few weeks, and already moving up to the number 1 slot. So congratulations, Stacy. Last week after the team call, so we pull our numbers. For those of you who are new, we pull our numbers on Friday morning. However, our turn-in does not end until midnight Eastern. So any business that comes in for the rest of the day, we want to make sure we capture that and recognize those people going out on a Friday afternoon, which is a great time to write business. And last week, Spencer Cushion had 1 application for $402 APV, and Stacy Love, again, there she is. Stacy Love had 1 application for $506. I'm sure she would have loved for it to have been $5,000, but $506 is still good and helped the family. So congratulations, Stacy. Let's hit monthly leaderboards for May. We had a solid month, 2 new riders, so congratulations to Katerian Gadsden, who is on Jameson McKeon team, and welcome back, James. James is getting back into the mix after a brief absence, and got team going. Congratulations, James and Katerian, for that new rider, new application. And then Mr. Scott Henderson had a couple applications on the John Paul Vetter team, and a new rider in the month of May. Top 10 for May. We had Miss Eva Bowman, 1 application, $4,527, direct to Stella. Sydney Lee, 10 applications, $7,626, direct to Stella. Andy McKinley, 13 applications, $9,324, direct to myself. Eric Sullivan, 10 applications, $9,833, direct to John Paul. Donna Bates, 15 applications, $11,881, direct to Spencer Cushion. Terry Myers, 24 applications and tied for app count lead. Awesome to see 24 applications and $12,856 direct to Stella. Jenny Gray had 22 applications, $14,112 direct to John Paul. Stacy Love was number 3 on the month of May. 20 applications, great app count, 20 applications, $15,809 direct to Donna Bates. Mr. John Paul Vetter, in spite of everything that was going on in his life, still managed to get 10 applications, $16,031. And the leader last month by a long shot, Miss Stella Dinwiddie, 24 applications, $27,483. What an awesome month. Stella leading from the front, leading her team, and she's got a great building team, but also still going out and making the production. So hats off. Guys, we're going to, Stella and John Paul, we're going to punt announcements to the end because we've got a very special guest. We want to make sure we get as much time with him as we possibly can. Mr. Scott Mank, Senior Vice President with Symmetry Financial Group at 120. For those of you who are brand new, 120 is the top contract in the company, which means he put a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into getting to the very top of the company, and is on with us today to share some wisdom around an upcoming event that can truly turn the course of your business. Scott, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Mr. Menefee. How are you doing?
Doing excellent. How about yourself this morning?
Doing good, man. I'll tell you what, I had a crazy week this week, short week. Suzanne went out and broke her wrist. And so I go to the emergency room with her and catch something in the emergency room. So it's been a lot of fun, but man, I just keep trekking on, brother. That's what I do. So, but feeling much better. She's feeling much better. And we're ready to get this thing rolling. I'm just super excited. I was talking to Jacob yesterday. I said, what got me going was just like the whole conference thing, man. I'm just super excited about that. I really am. And we'll get to that in a minute too, because it is exciting.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And I know your face looks pretty good. In fact, that Suzanne broke her wrist and cold cocking you, but you came out all right on it. So, but anyway, no, Suzanne is a sports warrior, and I think what you tell me, she was playing pickleball or something. She's hard to slow down.
Yeah, she started getting into pickleball. I think it's a sports, probably one of her short-lived sports. Just like 2 weeks ago, she ended up pulling a calf muscle pretty bad. So, but she's still doing pretty good, getting back to that. And then she breaks her wrist doing it. So I think she's retiring on that real quick too. But I told her, I said, she's gonna have to stop it. People are gonna think I'm beating her down here. No one knows me enough well. So I told her that could be a problem. But no, everything's going great. So. And man, I appreciate you having me on the call. I really do.
Good. Yeah. So kind of talk to, I mean, obviously we had the huge announcement on Tuesday, and I think we all, an in-person meeting. We kind of forgot what that's all about. And, after the last year plus, but, it's time to get back together and talk to us a little bit about, your thoughts on that, and as kind of specifically, everybody, we all want to tune into the radio channel WIFM. What's in it for me? So what does this mean for anybody here, whether they be a brand new agent or somebody that's been on the team for a while?
It's really interesting. Here we're starting off with the Whalen, right, conference, and we ended it right before COVID with the Whalen. So, I was talking about with Jacob, I said, man, this is the greatest way to start off, getting back into the conferences, right, is with our own group, the Whalen group. And I love it because we've got so many people right now on just our team, let alone the Whalen team, that we've never met. I mean, I cannot believe some of the people I have not, talked to them a ton of times, seen them on Zoom, have not met them yet. It's been over a year. I mean, Chris, it's amazing to me. And one of the things that I look at, what's in it for me, I love that, when you say that, because, you're all here for a reason, right? Whether it's money, whether it's just several different things, right? Just get your life right. Maybe, things that you learn here is going to help you. We talk about self-development. We don't talk about just self-development in your business, but for yourself, right? And so it's whatever you want to get out of Symmetry. But the one thing I'm going to talk about is really numbers, Chris. And when I look at numbers, we looked at the COVID in 2020, and we went through that. And typically, we didn't, like most companies, either they went out of business or they had, a loss of 50, 75%, whatever. I think we had a gain of about 2%. right? And that's good, but typically not good for cemetery, right? I mean, cemetery, we see 40%, 80%. I mean, we see crazy, crazy numbers when it comes to increases in folks' business here. So when we looked at this, I sat down, Chris, I just did this yesterday, and I was calculating numbers, and I love doing that. And you know, we looked at where we are right now as a hierarchy, and to me, those are the numbers that are important, because I know if that hierarchy numbers are increasing at a certain percentage, I know that it's affecting you guys, right? I know this is working well for you all. So I was looking at the numbers, and I went over with Jacob. He was just like, wow, you know, he didn't know I was doing all that, but I put them together. And one of the things that we did coming out of COVID, it was kind of interesting that we looked at, you know, we had a fourth quarter increase, right? We were number one in a fourth quarter increase. And so I looked at that and I said, okay, but the problem was we looked at the last, you know, the 2 quarters before, or the quarters, you know, the first quarter, second quarter of that year, right? We really had some tough quarters because we were trying to get it together. We kind of came into the year flat, at least. You know, you and I talked about it, Chris. So that really helped us on the fourth quarter, right? It really did. I mean, I want to know the truth of everything. That's the way I am. I'm excited we had a good fourth quarter because it really helped us coming into 2021. But still, we just had a little bit of a tough time. And even with a great fourth quarter, we still came out about 2% up, right? So looking at this year, you know, I was looking at the numbers, Chris, and in reality, we have post-conference in March, right? We had the Zoom one. We have increased right at about 100,000 per month in the last 2 months, Chris. So that's April, May. I mean, we didn't even go out the full, you know, it didn't even go out the full 90 days typically when you see things increase after a conference, let alone a Zoom one, a virtual one, because we didn't know how that was going to be. So we're really starting to see things happening. I'm seeing a lot of things happening with the team right now. Now, why am I bringing this up? Folks that's been here through the COVID, I've got folks that started here. I have one person on my base shop. 2 weeks he was out in the field, in that next week, having to do everything virtual, right? I mean, that's how it was. And so he's never, ever had a conference. He's never went to a conference, never went to a company overview, which those are exciting. We're going to get those rolling. Never had it, right? So he's doing very well right now. He's made the key leaders move forward, but he's never experienced the conference. And I love what Miranda said, Chris, when she said, I don't know if I'd be here if it wasn't for conference, because she struggled so hard. She really struggled. I get it, folks. I started here in April of 2015. I couldn't wait to get to that conference in August. Never been to one, never knew what it was about. But man, I heard the energy, the excitement, everything that you're going to learn and understand there. I was so fired up. By the time it got to July, we always joke about it. I was almost stumbling in because I just couldn't wait to get in there, right? And that's where I saw things happen. That's where I saw business grow. I saw you, Chris. You started rolling. When you hit your conference, I mean, things just start moving. It's amazing to me. And that's what conference is all about, folks. Jacob brought it up in a meeting. I hate conferences. I despise them because with the business I was in, we had one a year and my business would drop in the first 2 weeks before because I couldn't take it. I just hated it. And I told him when I found out Cemetery did 2, I said, you're kidding me. I said, you gotta be kidding me. 2 conferences in a year? What are you trying to do to us? You know, but I figured it out. And then when I went to that first one, it was awesome. And what conference does for you, it's a stepping stone, folks. It really, truly is. When you go to that conference, you're going to learn a lot of stuff that's going to absolutely catapult you through those next 6 months until you get to that next conference. And then you're going to have another stair step that's going to move you forward. And what I'm going to do here, Chris, and I talked to you about that, I'm going to walk through some of the things that are really, really important as you go through conference. Because there's things that I learned that I wish I would have done different. I truly wish I would have done different. I don't know how things would have been. but we're going to talk about that. But going back to the numbers here, right now, Chris, our agency coming out of April, which was a 5-week, we did $560,000. This month being a 4-week. Now, we always know there's growth starting to happen if you're close to even or above what you did in your 5-week. We just missed by a couple bucks, $500,000 in a 4-week, and which is really, that is the top we've ever done in a 4-week period. Folks, that's growth. That means y'all are growing, right? And take a big piece of that pie, folks. If you see the growth, take advantage of it. And so that's what's so important. So we're seeing a big growth there. In reality, if it wasn't for COVID, Chris, I figured it out. We would be right around somewhere around $760,000 a month. That's another extra 200. It was like 220, something like that. That we would be if it weren't for COVID. That's a big chunk of a pie there that you could grab, folks. That's where we'd have been. So I'm not taking that as a negative. I'm looking forward saying, folks, this is what's going on ahead. And with the momentum that we have going right now, it wouldn't surprise me if it's well above that is where we'll be. And so once again, those numbers are a reflection of you. And that's what it's all about. I want to make sure that you all are successful because that's why you're here, right? That's why I came here. That's why John Paul's here, Chris. You know, we want to make sure that we're successful at what we do here and our team's successful. That's what's so important. So once again, Chris, that's really kind of the overview of what's going on right now and how what's going to happen right now with conference. Folks, like I said in the call yesterday, go into that conference with momentum. Go in with it. Trust me, if you do that, you're going to say, yep, that makes sense, Scott. I see it now. Go in with momentum because when you come out of there, you've got the momentum going. You're like, man, I've learned this information. I've got this. And when you come out of there, you're going to blow it out of the water. That's what I did. I hear the 90 days you see a change. We've seen changes in 30 to 60 days after conference. And it's because I always run through these things with momentum. And that's what you want to do. What does that mean, momentum? What you want to do is if you're writing business right now, you're going into summit, you're going into conference, you want to be a $30,000 rider, wherever you want, folks, start setting the appointments. Go for 15, go for 20, go for 25, whatever it is, but get that momentum going because understood, Chris, you know this, Stella, John Paul, people that are doing 20, 25 appointments a week. You may have those appointments, but those folks might not do nothing in 2 or 3 weeks. They might say, oh, you know, I have to cancel in the next week or whatever, right? It happens. So if you get that momentum going now, and then you roll through conference, and then you got these folks that maybe didn't show up the couple weeks before or whatever, and you get them that next week, you have so many more quivers or so many arrows in your quiver that you're going to be so sharp when you talk to these folks. And you're going to be so fired up with what's going on and what's going to go on with your business that you're just going to keep moving forward. So that's just on the sales side. The billing side, forget it. I mean, that's where the thing absolutely explodes is coming out of conference. And I'll be talking more about that too. But that's why it's so important, folks. Get the momentum going now through there because when you go to conference, you're going to hear numbers. You're going to find out about numbers. And typically it's the people who got the momentum. And if you see those numbers big, they're going to be huge coming out of conference. And they know this. And so that's one of the big things I want to let everybody know. On the building side, the worst thing I ever did was not bring somebody. I brought Suzanne because she was there to see what it was all about because obviously we're married. But that was one of the things that I made that was a bad decision. Now, the second time I went, I brought 9. Right? I brought 9 along. Chris, you were there. Several others, and they're still here. You know, not all 9, but some of the 9 are here. Johnny, Deanne Cox. I mean, you know, people are here, right? But then the following time I did 20. I had 20 and it took off. And so it literally from not bringing people that first one set me back at least minimum 6 months from not bringing people. So folks, if you've got anybody that you know of that maybe they're struggling, maybe they're not happy with what they're doing, just bring them along. Hey, there's nothing wrong with having someone go with you and have a good time anyway, right? But you're going to change folks' lives. You're going to change folks' lives. I'm looking at a man right in front of me, Chris Menefee's life has changed just by that conversation we had, and he went to conference. So that's right now, just at that point right here, Chris, that's why it's so important. You know, you got to be there. And the numbers, and once again, when we get out of this conference, folks, we want that momentum to keep moving for the one in, I think it's like end of April, I'm sorry, end of January, 1st of February, somewhere around there. They're going to have this cemetery one, which is real big. So we want to keep that momentum going, catch it at the beginning of the year next year, and trust me, watch what happens to your business. It's amazing. That's where you start seeing the numbers, Chris, the 100% increase, 200% increase in business. If you see someone 50, you'll think that's exciting. Wait till you start seeing the other numbers. It's 100. What was it, Chris, that 1 year? 108% increase you had, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's interesting. Is that, you know, if somebody that's come in the last year, it's hard to really explain the difference pre-pandemic and where we're at now, because you and I, and even John Paul, and to some degree Stella, you know, we were used to hockey sticks. Like when we looked at every agency across the board in symmetry, you know, they all had this, you know, that started off, you know, you'd see about 2 years. It took about 2 years, and then all of a sudden it went vertical. And so, and when I say vertical, like you said, you know, we're talking like, you know, most years my agency grew by, you know, minimum. I was thinking the lowest number I can think of off the top of my head is around 84%.
I think that's right. Yeah.
But then, like you said, 108%, and you know, and hovering around that 100%. So you're talking about doubling year over year as an agency. And when we talk about the system, you know, obviously there's a lot of small moving parts, but what I think is missed a lot of times is, you know, what conference, that huge piece that's kind of on the macro, on the high level, where every 6 months we were having those events where people were coming in, and basically, you know, we always made the joke of drinking from a fire hose, but you're literally being dumped on with just so much information that would take your business from, you know, from where you're at to just, you know, infinite growth. And so that's, you know, it probably for somebody that's here that hasn't experienced conference and probably, you know, hearing all this talk just in the last week for the first time, and we kind of sound like we've all lost our mind because we're all, you know, spewing conference nonstop, and that's what we can't stop talking about. Well, the reason is because, you know, yeah, we did okay, you know, through the last year, and we had some growth. Even my agency, you know, we grew a little bit, which, you know, and again, most businesses would be ecstatic to have that, given what we just went through. But we're used to going, you know, from here to here to here to here. I mean, we're used to leapfrogs, and we know the big key to that are these 6 months events where, you know, again, people can plug back in, either catch the fire or reignite the fire, and get those tools they need to go to the next level, whether that's a day one agent who just needs to get in the field and start cranking out business, or a seasoned agent who needs to go from 10 to 30,000, or an agency that wants to go from 50 to 150,000. It all happens at these events. I'm curious, what are your thoughts? I mean, obviously we had the conference, you know, just a couple of months ago, the digital virtual conference. And to me, I thought they did a fantastic job. A lot of the comments that I heard coming out of that were very similar to what we heard, what we're used to hearing. But I'm curious, what's your thoughts about the live event versus what we did in what was it, March? I lose my dates.
Yeah, in March. I'll tell you what, if you were excited about that, you're going to be blown away on the live one. I mean, I can't, Chris, the problem with the virtual for you, for me, John Paul's been to a conference, it's not the same. You know, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, we as 120s, we poured our heart and soul into that thing. I mean, we were like from dusk to dawn. I mean, we were just going all that time when we were there for the full week. and I enjoyed it. It was great. Not the same, Chris. It's not the same. And you know, you're just not getting that camaraderie. You're not getting that get to meet folks. Chris, you heard me. One of my first conferences I went to, I had a hit list. I had a hit list of the top 4 or 5 people that I wanted to talk to, and I was able to do it. It was the greatest thing ever happened to me, right? And so it's those things are getting together, folks. We'll all get together afterwards in the evenings. We'll get to see each other. I mean, you know, right now, I have to say this, Chris. I want to say to this group right here. If any of you that's been here at least 6 months or longer, I'm just super proud of you. I'm being honest with you. You guys have held out long. I mean, Chris, we've never been through that. I mean, you guys have been clawing, scratching, moving forward, getting things going. If you think you're moving fairly well now, wait till after conference. Wait till after conference on what's going to happen. I can't guarantee a lot in this business, but I can guarantee that your business will change. Chris, honestly, how many people do you know that's been a conference, ever been a conference saying this was a waste of my time or I didn't learn a thing? Nobody.
Yeah, never.
Nobody. No one says that. I mean, if anything, they're like, man, I can't wait to get back. And I get a lot of that. I can't wait to get to back and get going. But I'm telling you, folks, it's that important. It is absolutely that important. And so, but it's not the virtual, like I said, Chris, you hit on it. It was great. It really was, but it's nothing compared to this. And then you're going to get on the big one with Symmetry. Well, just, I mean, I mean, it just, that, I don't know, Chris, I don't know the numbers on that, but I mean, it's got to be 5. Well, it's going to be 10 times bigger than even the Whalen one, right? Well, it's going to double because you got the Pritchett group and you got, well, more than that, you got the Pritchett group, which is double Marshall. And then you got everybody else, the Danny Youngs, everybody else that's going to have their teams there, right? You're going to meet all of these folks. And it's just absolutely amazing. You get to meet the owners, you get to meet everybody, right? And so that's going to be exciting. So that's why I love the idea of having this first one. If anything, you're going to be acclimated, right? You know, when we went, Chris, we just got blown away, right? Going to the SFG one. Here, you're going to have that intimate, great, you know, you're going to have 1,000 people plus there, maybe up to maybe 2,000 just in the Whalen group. Then, you know, then you're going to be at 5,000, 6,000, whatever it is now with Symmetry. You know, that's going to be the next one. But this is the way you're going to catapult your business. This is how it's going to work. And that's my thought on it, Chris. I mean, it really is. It's that important to get in front of folks.
So there's a couple of different avenues that I'm thinking about chasing here, but one that I think is probably most important, I want to make sure that we get to is, you know, we have a lot of people that come here and, you know, like the idea of going out and helping a lot of people making a lot of money through sales, and you absolutely can do that. But the reality is our business is built around creating agency. I mean, building yourself a business, and that, I'd say by percentage, you know, far more people are interested in that. So talk to me, you know, for somebody who is in the building process, whether they're brand new or they've been here a while and they're just trying to figure out how to get above the next benchmark, what would you be saying about conference, both in preparing for it and then what the outcomes could be, you know, depending on how you plug into conference?
Yeah, you know, especially on the building side, you know, one of the things that I would, and Jacob's going to be sending out the list of all the company overviews that's going to happen across the country. Okay. There's a couple of ways to take advantage of this. Okay. If you are, you know, obviously, you know, we put these things together. I've got a couple in the base shop right now. I got a couple of folks that are going to have some, Chris, we're going to have one in Denver, Colorado. I think we're going to have one in Pittsburgh. I know we're gonna have one down here in Orlando, but we got several people who are putting them together and it works really well. But you can take advantage of the list of cities that are already set up. Okay. So the smart thing to do is if you want to build a team or you got friends, whatever, right? If there's a city near you, go to it. Go to that business over. First off, you're going to meet some folks. You're going to meet some of the leaders. Jacob's out there. Marshall will be out there. I'm going to be out to several of the cities. You know, I'll be down there, Springfield, Missouri. Jacob's going to be there. Andrew said he's going to be there. So, I mean, there's a lot of folks going to be at these. But this is how you can push people get them to those meetings so they have a good feeling and understanding of symmetry. I can tell you right now, I know the numbers on that. You have 4 people at those meetings, 3 of them are going to say, how do I sign up? How do I sign up? It's a 75%, folks. And if they're interested, then what you want to do is make sure that they go to that conference. If you're someone who's out there that's doing cold market, if you're doing ZipRecruiter or whatever, however you're doing it, if you're talking with these folks, you should be having information for them on the conference. Hey, if you really want to learn about it, you should come to conference. Go to the conference. And so you can do that. If you're doing ZipRecruiter or any other systems, do mass emails. Hey, we're having a big meeting. Whether you have them at the small meetings right now, the company overviews, you can get them there, and then you can also talk to them about the conference. Those are things you can do. Now, Chris, I hope I'm not going too far ahead, but the thing is, once you get the conference, folks, what I want to do is, if you want me to go there, if you don't yet, stop me, Chris, but what I want to do is kind of go through what I did through the process. You know, I get this question a lot from folks who are like, Scott, you know, how'd you get to 120? How'd you do it? You know, and I joke a lot of times. I say you might not want to do it because, I mean, I work very, very hard, right? But I enjoy doing it. I enjoy it. But here's what it really comes down to. There's no magic wand. There's no pixie dust. It just doesn't happen. A lot of it had to do with leverage of conference and leverage of the company overviews, right? And that was so important because what happened was, I'm just literally going to go through a timeline here of what I did through and leverage conferences to go from there. I'm also going to talk about things I wish I'd have done a little bit different. And this is going to help you folks out a lot. Okay, it really is. So when I first, you know, like I said before, I started in the 15th, 2015 in April. And I'll be upfront with you folks, coming on, I came from a corporate world. It was a mess, got tired of it. And so when I came to Symmetry, I was praying it was everything they were saying, but I still had that in the back of my mind. Is this true? Is it too good to be true? So we went to that conference, Suzanne and I, and she was the same way, right? She's the same mindset. We lived together and she was the same way. Is this really true, right? Is this the right place? So what I did, and it was the biggest mistake I made, I call it that now, but back then I probably, if I did it over, I'd still do the same thing because I was very much hoping this was the right place and I really wanted to prove it. But going to that conference, I wish I would have brought some people. Chris, I don't care if it was 2, 3, I don't care. Because when I got there, I'm like, why didn't I share this with anybody else? But at that point, it was about me. It was about Suzanne, making sure she felt like it was the right place, right? And so when we got there, we're like, oh, you know, wish we would have brought people. That was the time, Chris, when she literally told me, this is a godsend, Scott. This place is great, you know, and we knew that was it. But so what did I do? We have another conference in 6 months. So I knew at that point, I said, man, I want to get this thing moving. I want to get going. So I just, you know, automatically said, okay, I'm going to buy. I immediately bought an owner's packet, right? You get 10 tickets. Well, I didn't know, folks. What does that mean to me? All I knew is if I get 10 people there, they're telling me within 90 days, you're going to have a $50,000 agency plus, right? So I get 10. So I get the 10. I go there, and obviously I get out 9 of them. And one of them, obviously me, right? So that's 10. So really, I brought 9 people. One of them being Mr. Menefee right here, Johnny Cox, Deanne Cox, all 3 of them agency owners, right? Chris Menefee, a regional agency owner. Greatest thing that ever happened to those guys, that they showed up there. I'll never forget some of the things I heard from them. Johnny Cox, who was struggling at this point, struggling. Matter of fact, he had no money. His mother didn't have the money. They drove from San Antonio and drove all the way to that conference. They didn't know what was going to happen, didn't know why, but they knew they had to be there. And they trusted me. And that was the thing. They trusted me because I've been here for a while, right? For not even quite a year, but I've been here. So they trusted me. Chris shows up. Chris shows up with his dad, right? I mean, they're all there. And then all of a sudden, 2 months later, after having 9 people there, the agency grew 81,000. 81,000. I mean, I'm like, you're kidding me. So then we move on. Well, at that point, we had some folks that were really doing a lot of recruiting. And at that point, I had 9 people there. They had close to 80 something. And they started blowing it up, right? So I'm like, wait a minute. We need to go more than this. So at that point, the next time we went, I got 2. Okay, I got 2. I think, Chris, I don't know, I think you might have got a one then. I'm not sure if you did. I think you did. I know Johnny did. But so we had 40, right? We had 40 of them out there to get together. So we ended up, Chris, I think we ended up somewhere around showing up there, maybe about 28. And at that point, folks, that's when things started absolutely taking off. You know, we started seeing it. We started seeing the over 100, right? At that point, we started growing. Johnny was really starting to push hard for agency owner. You were really starting to get going there, Chris. And then at that time, and then the next conference, I got like 2 more, right? And so all of a sudden, I'm going, wait a minute. You know, how do I blow this thing up, right? Well, we started doing this, and by 2017, I remembered in 2017, I think it was for the, it was the August of 2017. We started really growing. The one before that, I got 3 of them. Then I got 3 of them again. And I thought, you know, but the team was also getting some, right? So finally in 2018, and we were growing. By 2018, things were blowing up. But all of a sudden, that tipping point, folks, there was a tipping point. And we were at the Gaylord, Chris, and Suzanne and I was sitting there, and they were talking about getting the AC owners packets for for that following one at the, because it was the first Gaylord we went in January of 2018. And so we were walking down the hall, I remember, and she said to me, I said, listen, Suzanne, I'm getting 5 of them. Because we're 2018, by 2019, I made 120. I said, we're there. We have to push this. We have to be ones that push it. And not only that, we got to trust that we can do this, right? And she turned around and she goes, why don't we do 6? And I remember we sat on one of those little benches there, sat down, bought 6 of them, $7,000 after that. I had 6 packets, right? But here's what my thought process was, folks. It's all about mindset. You know, I told her, I said, God, I love to leverage things. Just like that. She goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm having the bank help me with this one, which it was not that I couldn't afford it, but that's my mindset because I want everybody else to understand that. You know, I said, because I'll have that $7,000 paid back before that bill comes in. I'll have the money because all I'm doing is just, I'm borrowing money on the credit card that I get that money back by selling the tickets, right? So by that time, credit card came in, paid it right off, right? You got to have that thought process. You got to have that mindset, a business sense, an entrepreneur to say, this is how I build my business. Folks, I didn't buy these 6 and then go, hey, everybody on a team, I got a bunch of tickets, here you go. I took those 6 packets, which adds up to 60 people, and all 60 people were new people that I was recruiting. That next year, I was 120. And I'm going to tell you, folks, when I went into 2018, I kid you not, I was talking to Jacob about this. It happened to him. But what we did was we bought packets on the fall of 2017 after that conference. We ended up getting 3 of them, Chris. We ended up getting 3 of them. We had a conference in end of January. By end of March, going to April, we went from $177,000 agency to $395,000, folks. This happened to Jacob, the same kind of situation. Because he told me, he said, Scott, we were at 188 and we jumped to 380. And I'm like, okay, let's try it. Let's see if that works. And sure enough, we were at 177, jumped to 395. And at that point, folks, that's when I said, we're we're getting 5 and Suzanne says no 6. Because I knew it, I saw it, I got it, right? That's how you build your agency. That's how you build your momentum. John Paul, super proud of you, man. John Paul's got 5 of them. This guy's going to go crazy. But his numbers, folks, watch his numbers before end of year. They're going to go crazy. And so that's how you build your business. But once again, folks, you know, I was talking to an agent, one of my agents, agency owner, newly agency owner, and she said, Scott, I bought a packet. I said, I'm super proud of you. Why not 2? Ooh, I got pushback. I got pushback, right? 2, I don't know. I said, well, what's wrong with 2? Well, you know, I said, you don't think you can get rid of them? You don't think you can sell them? You don't think what? And I said, because I hope it's none of those. And she goes, you know what, Scott, you're right. 2 of them, right? And so, you know, and I told her, you know, is there a way, you know, there's ways I know she's going to sell them, right? She will, trust me. But sometimes you just got to have that little nudge, right? You got to have a little nudge. I got another guy he's a key leader, become an agency owner. He says, Scott, I'm getting 2. So what did he do when he got 2? One of his agents had 1. She goes, well, if you're doing 2, I'm doing 2. And now it's become really a game for him. They're having a lot of fun with it. He's got another one just said, you're doing 2, I'm doing 3. And he's already got 4 people going to the thing, right? And so, but that's what's going to grow your business. And I'm talking to people right now who want to build a business, who want their business to grow. And folks, that's how you do it. If to summarize what I did, folks, don't go to this first conference without somebody. Obviously, you want to bring a spouse or significant other. But if you know of anybody, warm market, that you can change their lives, Chris, I'm going to tell you this, not to embarrass, definitely not to embarrass Ashley, but I'll never forget the time that we came to your house and we sat in your living room and we were sitting there and Ashley was sitting on the couch. And I could tell Ashley was a little bit, I don't know, right? I mean, you were in the business here, you were going, but the question was brought up, you know, where can we, I think Ashley said, where can we be in a year? And I remember Suzanne and I talking about that, where you could be in a year. And Suzanne, I love that she was there because she could talk about that side of it, being the spouse, you know, the support and things like that. And I will never forget this, Chris. When we were, a year later, we were at the Gaylord, and Ashley came up to me and gave me a big hug. And she said, Scott, you have no idea how much our lives changed, more than you guys even told us on the couch that year. And that, I'll tell you what, that made, Chris, that made my year right there. When she, you know, and she was so proud of you, Chris. She goes, I am so proud of Chris. He's becoming a leader. I just love everything about him, what, you know, what's happened. And man, I'll tell you, it starts getting me a little bit going here because I remember that till like it was yesterday, Chris. I mean, I'll never forget it. Suzanne will never forget it. But it's those changes that you can do in someone's life. That one person, man, you know, just, you know, I probably, you know, Chris could talk to John Paul or talk to Stella, agency owners here, right? And ask them how it's changed your life. It's changed it in some form that's good, trust me. And so that's the beauty of this. So remember, folks, whether you're writing business, if you're writing business out there, you're helping. Think of the lives that you're saving right now. I could go on another 2 hours on people's lives that I've changed just in selling life insurance to them. But can you imagine what you'll do for a family, a lifetime of a family, if you can change your lives in an opportunity like this? You know, I got an agent right now who's doing great. You know what he told me, Chris? This is a true fact. He came on, he went to conference, and he's doing great now. He says, Scott, you know, when I went to conference, you know why I went to conference? This is exactly how he said it. I go, what? He goes, to call BS on you. I go, what do you mean? He goes, like I said, call BS on you. He goes, I didn't think it was as good as you were telling me. The guy was already here for 30 days in the field. And I said, what's that mean? He goes, well, he goes, I just wanted to make sure I was going to be here. I said, you're not even, wait, you've written business, you're not committed? He wasn't all in, folks. Was not all in. And he literally, on the dinner, he went outside the dinner, called his wife and said, this is legit. He goes, and he's fired up. So I'm telling you, folks, this is life-changing for not only people that you can bring, but for yourself. So that's what I'm saying. You folks have been here 6 months or longer that have not hit a conference yet, and you're here and you're pushing, and you're doing everything you can to make it here, I'm super proud of you because your life's going to change when you get through this conference. I'm telling you right now. If it doesn't, please call me. I want to know why. I'm being honest with you. Text me or call me. I'd love to know because it will make a difference in your business. Trust me.
Yeah, one of the things that you touched on there, Scott, and I think this, I don't think I know, this is one of the most misunderstood aspects of this business in particular. That, and I heard Brian Pope say it on a call a long time ago, but it always stuck with me. This is a planting and harvesting business. You have to plant the seeds. But if you talk to any farmer, if they plant seeds and then go out the next day and don't see plants, they don't quit. You know, they don't say, well, this doesn't obviously work. In fact, if you were to go back out of that same field a month later, they still would probably, I mean, if somebody that was uneducated would say, well, this still doesn't work because we got just a bunch of short little plants. We can't do anything with that. It takes time and it takes cultivation and it takes, you know, applying the right amount of effort to it to get it to bear fruit. And it just takes time. That is the most misunderstood piece of this business. And part of that is not only planting those seeds, but getting those seeds the care in the growth material that they need, and that's conference. So when we harp on conference, we know, you know, for this, and I hope everybody was on this call yesterday with Andrew Jimenez,
yeah,
going through the actual numbers. That was a farmer that was going through the progression of what it takes to get your harvest in. And the fact that he said that if you come into this business and don't go to conference, 6 months later, you're going to, you know, there's a 93% chance that you won't be in the business. And you're absolutely right. You know, kind of hats off to anybody that started last year and has been able to make it through. The thing that we recognize is we know your opportunity to grow. You know, if you've been able to succeed here, we know as soon as we plug you into this conference and you get the knowledge, the training, and you know, there's so many aspects. Like you said, digital conference was great, but one of the things that you miss is the opportunity of interaction, of being able to ask questions and get instant feedback, to be able to walk up to somebody and say, I see you doing this. What are you doing? And it may be a 3-minute conversation, but they say, yeah, here's what I'm doing. Bang, bang, bang. And you walk away with something. You can't do that in a digital setting. And again, nothing against that. We made the best of it, but you just can't replace that interaction. And again, that's all part of that farming harvesting model where you know, and I love it again with the owner's pack. The owner pack is going out and buying your bag of seed. You know, and every time you're buying 10 seeds in every bag. So you buy an owner's pack. I guess the question is, how big of a harvest do you want? You know, at the end of the day, do you want an agency, which is 10 people there, $50,000 within, you know, 90 days or 90 to 120 days? And that's fine. If you kind of want to take a baby steps and get to an agency, hey, get an owner's pack. But do you want to be a regional? Do you want to be senior vice president? Do you want to be, I don't even know what Marshall's title is. Marshall doesn't even know what his title is, but do you want a multi-million-dollar agency? And I guarantee you, if you look at any of these advanced level agencies, 100% across the board, there's none of them got to where they're at without investing in their business and planting those seeds and then realizing I'm going to spend money right now. And again, we're not really spending money because again, all we're doing is just kind of pre-investing to get discount tickets for people, which basically pays us back our investment. But we've got to front the money. We got to front the money and know that harvest is going to be there. Any thoughts there?
You know, it's so funny using the harvesting and the seeds, everything. Think of it this way, folks. I love it. I was just thinking about this, Chris. It's like you folks that's been here 6 months or longer. Y'all put the seeds in. You just had a dry spell. Now the next 2-3 days, you're gonna have nice soaking rain, right? There you go. I mean, that's exactly what the farmers want. Is that you're gonna have a soaking rain, and then all of a sudden you're gonna see those plants fly. They're gonna grow, man. And that's exactly what it's all about. And whether you're building, whether you're going there to be better in the sales, it doesn't matter. It's going to work either way. You're going to be stronger, much stronger coming out of there. I mean, it's kind of funny. And I was talking to Suzanne about this. When we used to have conferences, I never talked a word about it, at other companies. I mean, because it was the same old kind of stuff, right? Man, I was just, this is all I talk about right now. I mean, you're all going to be tired of hearing from me. You're going to be tired of hearing from Jacob. You're going to be tired of hearing from Chris, John Paul, Stella. You're all going to just get tired of hearing it. But I hope they beat it in you enough that you finally say, listen, either you beat the submission or just saying, hey, it makes sense to do it, right? Because it does make sense to do it. And like I said earlier, if it doesn't, if you really feel like you got nothing on this, I would love to know. I would love to know. Trust me, because it's just that important. It truly is. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be taking the time doing this. I truly mean it. It's happened with me. One of the things I was talking to Marshall one day, I said, Marshall, what's it take to get to 120? He says, never miss a conference call and never miss a conference. And that was it. Marshall's a man of few words once you get to know him. Great guy, but when he's direct, he's direct. And he says, Scott, that's what you do. What do we do on recruiting? He says, here's what you do. You do it this many times and you do it consistently every week. I'm a simple man. Just tell me how to do something. And I'm very good at doing it consistently. I'll do the activity and I'll do it consistently. As long as I got the faith in it and I feel confident in what I'm into or what I'm doing, I can't lose. And nor can any of you. And trust me, folks, I mean this. I started here when I was 56. If this wasn't the right place to be, I wouldn't be here. I ain't got time. I'm not a 30-year-old that could bounce around. I had to find the right home. I walked away from $250,000 a year making that much, so severely unhappy. But at least I was making money, right? It took me 2.5 months to find the right place. I finally found Cemetery and I'm like, oh Lord, please be the right place. Because it was everything I was hearing was great. I had a great conversation with Marshall. I said, man, this has got to be it. This has got to be it. So trust me when I say this, folks, I truly mean it. This is the place. And yeah, I'll admit it. First 3 months, Chris, 4 months, a little bit of chip on my shoulder. I was going to prove it. I was going to prove if this was right. I live close enough to the show me state and I'm like, prove it. But I had to prove it, right? I can't just go, okay, I'm going to sit back and hope all this rains down on me. And then y'all are wrong. I was putting in 110%. I wasn't going to give up. It was not like I'm giving it 6 months and do that. No, I was going to kill it all the way through. Because in my mind, I'm going, I don't want to prove it wrong. I want to prove it that it's right and that I made myself look like an idiot trying to prove it wrong. And that's really what I was going into it like. And I just went into it and proved it all the way to 120 that it is right, folks. And the beauty of this is finding the right folks here. Every one of you. I mean, John Paul, love you. Stella, love you. You know that, Chris. You're like a brother to me. I mean, we build relationships here. And I want to get to know everybody on this team, right? Some of you are going to get phone calls from me just to see if you're going or if you got questions about conference. Take a couple minutes of your time. That's how important it is, folks. I'm going to be taking that time. I want to take that time to have a conversation, whether it's a 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute call, just to see if you're going and what your thoughts are on it. Why and why not, right? And so, but I want to make sure that everybody 100% makes a decision that's right for yourself. But like Chris is saying, I always heard it was 85%, but when you finally, and I hear, right? And that's the numbers I hear from Cemetery. But when you have Andrew who cranked out the numbers at 90, he called me when he first did that. Andrew and I used to have a lot of conversation. He would always call me. He said, Scott, I got to tell you some numbers. He was your numbers guy. I got to tell you these numbers. 93%, Chris. 93%. It at best is going to be 6 months behind. Mm-hmm. Yep. At best. So, yeah. So I really hope, honestly, I hope I see every one of you there because I'm going to be there. Chris, I want to meet everybody. I want to make it a point to meet everybody. And so that's important to me. If I can avoid John Paul, I'd be doing pretty good. No, I love you, John Paul. I'm kidding. But no, I can't wait to see everybody. I really can't.
We're going to give John Paul a chance to answer that.
No, I appreciate that. I'll just tap you in the hallway. No worries, man.
There you go.
But I always want to add something just to the commentary that folks are hearing, because I know there's a lot of new people on the call, and some people may be thinking, man, what the hell's wrong with these folks? Why do they keep harping on this conference thing? You know, I mean, it can't be that big of a deal, right? Like, I've been to corporate conferences. I know what I'm doing. I've been in the corporate world. I've been to these boondoggles in my past corporate life, and they suck, and I hate it. And it was just a fluff show for the powers that be to make them feel important, like they had to do it. And we've all been there, right? It was just a waste of time, right? This ain't that, period. This is not that. And what you have to understand is, sometimes people come into this business and they have that perspective of what they've gone through in their past lives, right? And they hear a conference, things like that, and they're like, oh, man, what's right? Look, man, I know what conferences mean. I don't really need to do that. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go one above and beyond everything. If you don't go to conference, you ain't going to make it here, period.
No.
I've not seen it yet. If you don't go to conference, go ahead and do everybody in your circle a favor and go ahead and find something else. Because going to conference is the most impactful thing that you can possibly do. And this is not a virtual deal like we did before. We had to make do with what we could, what we had available to us via Zoom and such. The conference in person is on a whole nother level. And so I guess I liken that to, you know, when you plug into your mentor, when you're having a rough day or bad times and things, and you got to plug into your mentor who's a battery for you to recharge, to kind of get your spirits back up and get you back into the fight and give you some course and direction and get excited about the task at hand again and jump right back into the trenches. You've all been there. We all know what that's like every day on one-on-one with the battery that's your mentor. Conference is a superconductor where you're going to plug in and be overwhelmed with energy and information and knowledge and motivation and inspiration beyond anything you've ever imagined, beyond any Tony Robbins, beyond any Grant Cardone, any of those other things that some of you paid big money to probably go to or participate in, except these are going to be real people who aren't full of fluff trying to sell their books outside in their t-shirts and hats. And those folks are telling you live from their heart and spirit what they've accomplished with this business model and how to apply yourself and what works in this business model for you to apply right now. Going to conference will cut 6 months off of your learning curve, period, just by being in attendance. Wherever you are at in your journey, whether you're brand new or now you're an agency owner trying to make a run for, you know, your 120, whatever, we all have new things that we can learn. And every time you go to conference, that's different for you. I guess so. I just wanted to make sure people understand just how huge this is. And I've been there in my past lives where I've both participated in and facilitated conferences that were just a waste of corporate money, but we had to do it because somebody at the EVP level said we had to, and it made them look good, right? I'm just telling you, this ain't that. This is a whole nother level. And if you're serious about making this your forever, and building this business for you and your family and your families, your kids and grandchildren, generational wealth, whatever you have to do, you got to be at that conference. This is the most important thing you can possibly do, period. Make no bones about it. No excuses. No reason that you can't do anything. As far as the conference, nothing should take precedent over being at that conference as far as what your commitment is to your forever in this opportunity. It's that important. So I just wanted to add that for folks so they really understand why we're harping on this, to tell so many people the importance of it, because people may think, man, I'm getting tired of hearing this, but there are going to be people on this call, who've heard that in their past lives. They kind of blown it off and they don't take it serious because they've heard it before because it was nonsense. This is the real deal. You got to be at conference. It will absolutely change everything about what you're doing when your journey in this organization, period, in this opportunity.
I love that, John Paul, because it's so true. You brought this up. You know, one of the things I brought up with Chris, you probably, I know you remember it. I did it with Johnny, Deanne. I think it was just those three at that point. But I asked, we had a little conversation, and I asked, since you guys have been agency owners, and I include myself, is there anybody that's on your team, still on your team, or on your team, or got still on your team, that went to conference? Are they on your team? And I'll never forget you, Chris. You were kind of you went, Man, Scott, there's not. You know, Johnny was blown away by it. Johnny goes, I never thought about it, Scott. There's only one person on this team that I know on my team, unless someone else has had it, but on that I know of personally, that she did not make conference. She did not make conference. And the reason why she didn't make it was her daughter was deathly ill and she was in the hospital. And I knew it wasn't a lie because I knew for a fact. Didn't make it. And she told me, I'll never forget. She was here. Then she went to the second conference. While we were at that second conference, we were talking. And that second conference was the Whalen one. Okay. And so she's never been to the Cemetery one. And we were talking again about this last week. But she told me, she goes, Scott, I'm behind. She goes, oh my gosh. She goes, I'm trying to hang on. And I thought she was going to quit. But I just had a conversation with her last week, and she says, Scott, she goes, listen, she goes, and she was getting a little emotional. She goes, now she's doing great. She's running for agency owner, but she's so far behind. She goes, Scott, I was so far behind. And she goes, I've had to double and triple up just to catch up with people that are where I should be. But and I told her, I said, I love you to death. You're hanging in there. You're doing the right things. And she goes, she's already bought, I think, 3 packets. And she's already got it for herself. She's just been married about maybe a month ago. He's involved in the business. But if there's a poster girl, if I had her on here right now, she'd tell you. Because she is the poster girl, and she's on Jerry Choate's team. And I guarantee she's telling the team about this as we speak. But it's that important to her. But she says, Scott, I'm a living proof of it. She goes, I said, you're the only one that I know survived it on this team. So it's that important, folks. It truly is. And you're right. I've never harped about anything like this. I mean, once I went to my first one, oh man, that was it. I had faith. It was right. Folks, when you go, not only the second day, you're going to go through your breakout sessions. I mean, you're hearing from the best of the best. It's going to train you on things. And you get to pick what your weaknesses are. Or maybe things that you want to go forth to be better in the next 6 months. So when you have the next training courses, you're going to train in those to have another great 6 months. That's how this is all built, folks. It's built to move you forward. So, other than that, that's it for me, Chris.
All right. Well, Scott, I know you've got to roll off to another call. You've got them stacked back to back. So I've got to let you go. But guys, we're going to wrap up. We're at the top of the hour and running a little bit over. So we got a lot crammed in, but I know we've got a lot of people with a lot to do yet today. So don't want to hold you on. Scott, appreciate so much for you jumping on and sharing your thoughts. Guys, reach out to your agency owner if you want to buy individual tickets. And if you're wanting to build an agency, get on a call and, talk through that. Talk through that with your mentor, your upline, your agency owner on, what that looks like. What kind of business do you want? What should you be investing in an owner's pack? How to do that? How to sell the tickets? I mean, there's a lot that we can help you with. Basically, make sure that that's never out-of-pocket cost for you. So, all right, guys, appreciate each and every one you've been on. We're going to wrap it up again a little bit over time, but I want to make sure that we respect everybody's time and get on with the day. So appreciate all of you being on. Thanks again, Scott, for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, everybody. I appreciate it.
Awesome. I appreciate it. We'll see everybody. Thanks.